think the first night that I arrived here, back in August, jet-lagged and totally disoriented, I staggered down here to the public school and heard a reading which David had organised. I met Michael Cross, which is wonderful, and got those books from him. And every time I come back here since then, it's really been an event for me. It really has. So I'm just thrilled, actually, to be now on the precipice of being plunged back into my life in England, to be able to read here for you all. So thank you very much, David. I'm just going to read two poems, neither from my new book, The Odes, simply because I feel with that one as though I've been sort of reading it, you know, when you grate cheese until your hand starts to grate. So it feels a little bit like that with that book to me at the moment. So instead I'm going to read one poem which I wrote just after that, here, called Under the Mattress, which is quite short, and then a longer, older poem called The Proxy Inhumanity of Forklifts from a few years ago. So the first one is about a third of the length of the second, and the second is probably about 3 times that. And I'd like to... I love this place. I really actually love this place. That sounds horrible and sycophantic, doesn't it? But it's true. It's my only chance to say it, really, to everyone. So I want to dedicate this reading for all the work that he and they do to make this place live, to David and to all his friends and comrades who make this place live. It's just amazing. Thank you. Under the Mattress. This has an instruction for performers, which tonight I am the one, and the instruction is estatico man non troppo. Ecstatic but not too ecstatic.
Estatico man or what?
Estatico man non troppo.
Thank you.
Under the Mattress. Yes, the realities of life. Yes, bonded to terms like these. Tap the sexual hinge and drain its cataract of factual oil. Dreaming, you are made to hide from the guards dispatched to catch you by an anonymous communist tyrant dictating the incommunicable erotic meanings of a missing life to the deserving middle, whose orderly urban sprawl and the blanket contempt could never sink lower, but merely does, at will, on board the massive and passive-aggressive illuminous tugboat with split-level grille, none of which makes much sense now, or any equal time like that or this, where guards are all-consumingly at large. Have a dream in which, to evade arrest, you squeeze your whole body under the mattress, laid out intuitively horizontal, on which now, superficially outlays, overcharged and wasted, an obscurely misplaced British military observer, who is on standby to be presumed innocent on the ground of his readiness to fall in with reality, not once to fall in with reality, but forever and ever, by always more expertly fucking his girlfriend. And once, having been gratefully squeezed under the mattress, it is still now being always more expertly done to her on. To excuse the strange imposition of your life directly under his peacekeeping pounding ass. You explain without meaning it or strangely caring that who should remain thus at large on the towboat or free would needs risk being captured, in vintage grammar, just like that, or some of something even more, and, as it turns out, to good purpose, and even to your profit, since he, the British military observer, whatever he is, wherever he is there, whatever only option you can take, consciously permits himself to be persuaded by your words to allow you, who are for one moment, or just about by a minimum of perfect resemblance, his undeniable fellow stowaway in the Navy, on the destroyer of desire, and who would be a fellow stowaway of his by a yet greater quantity of perfect resemblance, approaching even the authentic, but for your time and again inflexible demonstrations of fluency in the chewed-out pillowed logicisms of barely whispered high civilian, and your knowledge of its de-escalating effects, so as, even while being non-stick all over, still somehow actually to bear, since there is no immediate other option, sticking your body under the mattress, curling up there, despite his manifestly not caring to discontinue his or any fuck on it, holding himself up at breaking point where one more push will end it all. Come, all ye faithful, and once you are there, tucked in discreetly as the predicament merits, between the base grid of black metal springs and the overhead white rectangle you keep dead still. And for a reason you think should exist, but are not completely ready to know yet by yourself, even the whole evasively your stuffed-in body does not upset this mattress or serve even to make it effectively combust or disastrously tilt, or represent an unmanageable, unsexy lump, or underlying protuberance pressed down in militant unison with gravity that would thwart any wound-up military man in the execution of a truly professional fuck, who himself, the military man in his execution, often likes to apply that very word. Fuck! fuck! Despite being exactly then as now, exactly its actual size and shape. After puberty, you just don't grow anymore. Under the mattress, you lay your arms out crosswise on your chest. In the ear pressed down against black metal springs are later heard and condescendingly listened to many mortal intimations of a tinnitus for eels. We are slaves too, and we live with it, as the alternative is madness and misery. The guards actually do come, twice, eventually, first, then, right away. And when they do come, they are seen to be looking for you. But for that moment, gambled on a flat percentage of its untold parallels in infinity's unpaid overtime, you are suddenly transformed into, or you simply now suddenly get at last to be, Roger Moore. Not only someone you are not, but worse, a walking wasted opportunity to find a proper object with a bit of contemporary traction. Instead, you end up not even the epitome of anything, just Roger Moore. As the mattress bulges, identity wavers back to him. Then, negative shower from heavens like a shower of seminal coins. You are not some other actors you once should have been, or had wanted to be, or were told you ought to be, or could remember and list, or later had it known to you without it ever really being spoken to that you must need to be, or couldn't find your way up to, or just naively relied on thinking you would obviously be at some other point, or whom only once in your life you could never truly care if you were or not, but you were not in any case, but him. Roger fucking Moore, as he might identify himself in anger to an erstwhile fan who had forgotten his name. By now, scarcely an even vanishingly salient figure. No sort of epitome, way worse than it sounds. So completely that before you know it, you were born on the 14th of October 1927 in Stockwell, now part of the London borough of Lambeth, the only child of a cis policeman and his archaic housewife. You attended Battersea Grammar School and were evacuated to Holsworthy, Devon, during the war. You later attended the College of the Venerable Bede, but you never graduated. The fit is almost wastefully exact, or else you split in two and scream, untrue. What does the end of that story do at first but never mean again? Under conscious pressure, liberalised to the cognitive equivalent of light touch community policing, your new name is spectacularly descrambled into ogre, fuck her more, germ, erogenous gore, me or who, her room, germaline, and is the substitute for the more primary Sean Connery, himself also more or less absolutely the utmost figure to pick. And I really do want to fuck you more hard, just as the dream dictates when you wake, each elastic thrust to bury love in no tomorrow. As Roger Moore, for pretty much the entire duration under the mattress, you were just slick and oily, instead of in any way primarily hard, more fluent in all civilians from your pigeon to your oratory, not prepared to sit back and just scream yourself sick, admittedly not directly compelling in the monotony of your plastic over-sophistication, but indirectly mandatory as the best sublimated bright sadistic instinct, sexy to all the wrong people, like the actual NSA. The guards cannot find you to misapprehend, so they leave. At last this scene breaks out in scenery. We lay down together at the top of the hill in the thousands of wavering flowers, made level with all of the sky that extended so far that the fading and muting and distance on colour could openly paralyse and shine. And on the ground I held you, and in you held me together. I love you is an easy thing to say. Now, you say it. Bind your life around my life insanely, only tight. Flood our perfect darkness with our best imploded light. Since my earliest idea of you, I have been shaking. Now I want you so much my skin is incessant, wild, electric. Identity is a death tax. Fuck the dark away. Become right. Down in the square where none of this mess is to matter, not being caught signifies nothing less than whatever, because you want to be caught. Secretly, you want to be caught, to be made public, to be sexually reborn, to be extracted by love and purified, and to be made disgusting again. But back on board the agnostic communist destroyer of articulated grill itself, this world, where this would have to actually be done, on whose only top deck the obscurely mock Asiatic tyrant is to be bloodthirstily beheld, rubber stamping in his manic depressive and way overdone productive waves of being, his warrant for your arrest, in a sea of best forgotten fractionally fathomless 57% Mexican sexual froth. Never being caught remains the indispensable alibi for loving the wrong person forever. Okay. This is more of a challenge. For me at least, maybe not. It's a poem. The Proxy Inhumanity of Forklifts. This is from a book from a couple of years ago called The Stats on Infinity.
Oh, what?
Called The Stats on Infinity.
Thank you.
Yeah. In 1983, over 13,000 workers' compensation claims. To Erato, I utter this bloodless anathema, a veto on forklifts, trusts, talons in face scrub, tossed out of the world, of which you are actively sick, waxing anemic, brandishing fire hose, sick with anxiety, but actually sick, borders in menstruation for cognitive aphrodisiac, since I am shut and upwardly alive, a flesh that sucks the fuck out of its bone, counting deep discounted stress balls, such as 1 exploding rat, 2 the ghost cow eased in nice and slow, dark glut of idiot ducklings exudate from U-squeeze, impacted on the grit slope to asylum and immigration tribunals, to yours it is to take and grip, rewinding the spoilers for Juarez like this. To look at these reflections on the deep fat whose unemptied extinguisher is this blank life from routinely going out. To rip its imprescriptible living strings out. To bash this instrument to fuck you, detune it. Rip its indestructible unique string out. Populate the data pool of ring-fenced dead in on it, the ground truth pit sub-specii eternitatis, idly ticking each head off with commuter rail to benefit it locked to its pre-echo, now restored to an inert factory setting, blank life from routinely going out. This once to live a platelet's lust for blood, who gasping clotted grit out, I will die, ejaculating the National Electronic Injury Surveillance System. Like this, tipped up forklifts deflate off, noise of rattled tinder lights. Reparameterized, using second differences, sex acts as a time trend, equal across differences, forklift. Over the surface of that window are now copied blanks of effulgence on the late sky, deeply not there to kill my mouth, in silicate and boron all their swivel vice of emptiness, Schnetz's Gewalt peel down a teenage rind, forklift. There is, in addition, fire all over the methamphetamine, but it is this that fucks up its blockade. A sculpture of the chief executive neuron in shampoo made into the screw binding the ashtray on the men's room door, behind whose point the animals despair, like surplus mood, expropriated core. To clone the next life on the line, the charge is unreversed. The forklift shifts on instinct forward just as much later you reverse into it, acting the palette minus sex lags of autocorrelations included. The unincreasable isoaerial palette plunged in loss, lived on all the answerable love I have endured, prongs in answer for the genitals never entered, lit with motion still unstinted of subornamental life, that tender incantation it is madness to abandon, to be randomized in you, still promised for a motive to make love immune to triviality, severer now inside me, joked at there, lived for the unnatural reason makes it unnatural in itself, for underage sex on the propped up ceiling of the financial stress index, to be stored out of reach and in a stack, eternal by switching off at the credits reel of Eli Rothstar fur, icing withered human eggshell. But once for when enough is for enough, the upward cheekbone down at heel screams its high art penance, a summoner to vanquish the signal isolator plus or minus 0.2% spam and squandered love reductile, spills in mud, the sunk eyelid fritters like ice skates when, moonlighting as our isolated incidents, we last forever then. And no death sheds us, running at the primaries, runs up a debt on living to desire, desire to make me vomit fire, GDP deflators into 19. If possible, the dog eat more than one time. If only feed once and eat reticulocytes, it could be indication. Better eat again. 19 is possible until right now. If not until right now or any later. Give me my desire back, or not at last what dust is mud. Or else desire just hanging around, just lasting, just hanging around, just scrounging in the maze, just scrounging for the maze and getting it. hunkering, downborn, free to be this old pickled egg jar with screws and nails in it and elastic and oil all over it. Last seen in the garage at Thatcham, cultural memory, smeary and gorgeous like Claude, shone in its corner of the garage, playing its sex games with us humans, inanimate because oblivious, but violent in joy, estranged to last. As the palette, I knew that to be wood remained interesting, hardwood, forever, and so did nails, I knew that, and so did nailing, I knew that for nothing, watching the earth turn beautiful, actually beautiful. But to draw conclusions from that, in wax all over the wall, in a heap of rubble on the ground, like lipstick in a frying pan of flexible hours. The forklift tore the T-wall half of wood down, but its entire back catalogue of animals, once having been done, pored over, combed, picked through, redacted, there is nothing to be done but be nothing to you. As there is nothing to do it for, but to be doing nothing but, wanting to try to live to drown the ice in vinegar, wanting to try downloading amputeens, to try wanting to, instead of dying to, operate in a cast, get led out, forklift as leg fast and as steam. To you who are the distant love we dream, in optional sepia faces, I know that to be wood I must remain interesting. I, like a bill in an incinerated ring binder, but to draw conclusions from that, always hacking up burnt ring binders to get at it, to let me pull it out, to drown the ice it licks in vinegar, non-stop hacking up every incinerated ring binder in sight, burning to want to try to let me pull it, the bill, I see it. Look at Golnaz, just hacking up the ring binders you burn, not holding out for the one ring binder that will not burn. The dark, indelible human palate, unloaded now for rising, seen to by the penetrating forklift, says, penetrate you, break in on the air, lock stuck in your skin, into the vacancy in the stack, the memory foam disaggregating warehouse, trying to want to let me pull it out. For the Israelis appropriate the Palestinian share of the Jordan, and in the end become the way we are, can't shut up or open up instead at -0 or 0 or 0.8 minus 0 or 0.31 or plus 0 in the short one once, -0 or 5 or 0 or -0 or plus 0.29 in the Epic to Oblivion, 1985. The off-the-shoulder straitjacket supplants the iron bib, and because we do, our lifestyle reverses. The scratches turn into the lens. And then if we don't, but defy the war, our spirits sunk in batches, qualitative easing, enamoured in a strange feeling dispersed in erotic retail monotherapy, the hedge blind outlasting the ditch blind, the amputated blow on the amputated, idiot air broadened like a mind of politics, cleared to billow on common ground whose reset horizon depends on what you say, like pain on how a broken jaw moisturised in military shitstorms, step changes pegged to forklifts dig in the bulging pick face, litigious angels gurn on legal high, and out the door the everyday go working, and the work is long in never being gone, like a camera recording its burnt receipt waft up in ash over the warped ordinary punched in cash register, all inside your head like sacrifice. In scowling wind, their ink unbled, quasi-gelatinous, death by expenses, cruel and unusual, an ordinary din, pimp no ride, meaning entrapment, come again, payback for the future, dovetailed with candied claws ordinarily stashed there, nostalgic for the escalator avenir, venere facias in purple wax and flaming pink felt tip, delivered by the tooth stalk in proxy for the flamingo. No ordinary flamingo, but its future precedent, coming to stay for the weekend. How should you be able to be missed? Flamingo, neither demi-diffident nor demi-ostentatious, but who would be in discomfort, and who would have scars, mucus, and a blood fleck blocking up its or my screaming beak, wide open to an equilateral pyramid of, first, that communication action produces value offers a clue for rethinking of classical labour theory, where goodness wants an equal change to make sense of things between us. But the long-run price elasticities still outstretch us, as fat protects or harbours cancer cells. Fat as in low fat, local as in buy or get restless. 11. If dog see you pick up his reticulocyte, he do the same forever. This is called allomimetic behaviour. Second, a door closer assembly for a household refrigerator, of the type having a door frame with a front-faced surface and a door having a confronting surface. The assembly including a hinge plate mounted on the door frame and having a pivot pin mounted on the hinge plate in a spaced relation to the front-faced surface. a door, plate mounted on the door, and having an aperture spaced from the confronting surface of the door, and a pivot post spaced from the aperture, the door, plate being mounted on the hinge, plate with the pivot pin aligned with the aperture, and an offset arm connected to the pivot post and biased by a spring in a door, broken for use. And third, the dead, and of its myriad unrepentant specifications. One shot at the end, to find the one who shut my head on love begun in one tongue, first single atom by single atom, to take eternity, two, off work after an incident, three, known as life, suspected to be it, beneath a forklift, sick at last of which, if this is the analysis, is cast into a can, four, a tin, if we release it, one, into the loss of nerve to find the thing who sinks its teeth, the head they spit in one, meted out atom by atom, out, five, a, one, tin, wrapped in sheets of canned shattered glass, blew around like candied me or you, six, in one, a can, I was sick of this, incident, seven, sit, beneath it, I said, that thing, I am lost, eight, I am bugged, nine, if one, a tin to make right noises in, nor be them, state them, eat them, feed them, 10, not just one, as they are, not for nothing, 11, or being them, have them too, the things, organised in sexual rings, they had out in a can, if I made up my difference, even to death by the single thing, one, in fancy dress as the cross-section of human molecules, scrawled in bright wax crayon on torn ad section with fire also scrawled on it, later now deleted in, 1, 12, a can so long as if the death in me is impossible to put out and get out to me, 13.6, with forklift, no, stop, 14.1, if a tin, but I, 15.4, object, 1, 15.6, in principle, if, 15.7, in principle, don't look 1.1 as how my point was already, whatever it was, for so long as I was one thing there, one life to remember, it for being, but what it was, in that case, the point of that being different from nothing, 16.3, I am out, 17.18, 18, 19, 1, if uneaten, 20, if left not fucked, enough, 20, if left not wanted, enough, fucked enough, 22.141, if on account of my changed point, 23.5 and 1, a tin. The point of change, as in the image that is now, got out one sieve, iron flat is pressed on, is one fair, traded to one, what other traded to one other, what tongue slipped through it like water to wash up and water to spark up and sparkling glue to the thing, T4.83, the whole verse minus melting a can, and if I do it, then 25.27, as I do it now, lost that, a can in time for nothing to, tin, if now, as I do it, and as one, as I now read this, 26.6 nothing, I do it now, and am the same, just as passionate, 27.7 nothing, I do it now, and am as good at not dreaming, 28.8 nothing, 1, I do it now, or am yet more good at it, 29.9 nothing, 1, I do it now, or am yet more than good at it, 30. Nothing, 1, I do it now, a tin, or am yet more good at it, 30, am 1, point, not nothing, 2, I do it now, a melting tin, 1, or am yet more good at not dreaming, 32, point, nothing, 3, I do, a melting can, 1, tin, or get out more than not dreaming, 33 point nothing but not nothing, 4, I do, a tin, melting or good, and yet more than it's dreaming, 34 point nothing, not 5, I do with a melting tin, the one holding your forevermore lost face in my hands, with your forevermore lost mouth, forever open, if held open by me, forever 30 by me, 5 point nothing, not 6, do it, and gasping, 31, 6.1, nothing, not 7, I do it, and wanting to come in, 7, swerving down the hill on the trip nuts, 1, wanting, 1, if not desperate to be 8 in me, a tin will eat you, nothing to be in me, drag around the cell, the mall, the security wall, the perimeter of Alsatian stress ball, 10, the point to 10, point in 10, point liberated into a melted can, 109.9, a tin, point, I, nothing, rip up as a point, if I like nothing, I open to infinity, eyelids first one, then forever the first, you must back me as this, into nothing else, but a reason for love to survive, get inside a can, locked to its burnt mouth, pointing open to infinity. It is midnight. It is midnight. A foul mist creeps between the droning trees, dries to a scab on holograms of bulging irides. Come in from the neighbouring governorate. Come in time to see you for themselves. Inquiries into barcodes onto broken human eggshells. Irides fixed like doormats on psychotic pentangles. Their black holes glisten in the diaspora of limelight as windy Alkifa wraiths. And one by one, our grim conveners count spotless, de-skilled skeletal slurs cut into toothpicks, spineless embeds fried on snipers diazepam, tanked up pretzels slurring their eat shits, the rapid response post-avant errata of who's who, pornographically licking our shrink wrap, sententiae addicts, fodder for paeans to conceptual litanies, anti-metastatic to infinity. Now it's forever 9:18 a.m. on a Friday, or an amphibious 6.1% of the Wednesday before. Or now it's not a day at all, but a stage set in an amniotic infomercial, where glossed lips pre-gelatinated in sepia scream in sips, swap bicomfort, now 74, or ode diction for grammatologist varcolatat or highs, to infinity. Stare out from my head down at the differential dead, ornamenting Sunday morning analysis flagships, foreigners in affairs, seeing to the butchered Afghans of the Sun Canteen freezer, iconoclasts of the franchise of death, teeth grinding, pupils dilated, cryptic barflies high on legal horseshit, the boners of Gabon rammed in part-time Lebanese nostrilfuls of breakout at a time, into my fuckhead Finnish youth, not finished fucking with its fucking infinity, but plotting a lock-in at second base, same shit, different war, unwaged by bourgeois dead who won't go on, with the dead of the C2DE demographic with nothing to prove but its chains, who ignore with indignation the dead of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and indie media. Dead women. Meet the new necrophiliac new womanizers. It begins with fasciculations in the lower extremities, at a hostile acquisition anniversary piss-up in a graveyard, where for minutes you're requested not to sing but come to a lifetime silence. Play musical chairs with the music turned down, making modest forklifts fuck like rabbits on fucking meat hooks, spilt on hot sand, and in the dead of night you do a sum, and in the morning deduct it from universalism. Like chins off the chopping block, that's how we roll. Mouth by rote, the entitled subtitles make history, poverty, inhuman love. Forklift fade out. But the unreheated heart is not soluble in dream. It's light. I burst to touch your disappearing skin, the kind I too am in. Pulled over us and got out of the car at the bottom of the Dead Sea to rush up through deep salt and scrubbed our mouths, but this retarded bee stayed on. We and this zombie bee. But to draw conclusions from that, but to do what about it is stupid to do about it, to dream without acknowledging respite. But the retarded bee stayed on, not let among us. Dichotomous blood lost in the slira frolics, no one will block it. What's ours is ours. And the stun felt along it is democratic, though not of the model lately attempted on Afghanistan. Replied the Jack, ours what? Light streams under the door when the milk falls out. And though it isn't the door, revolving between the Ministry of Defence and BAE systems, it is the door light streams under. The door. Nothing, nothing. Chic, chic. Middle brow, middle brow. Weird. Thanks.